plan.
This thing is ridiculously tiny.
Alright, the frame is, the top of the frame is pretty much all tacked into place. I'm pretty much making this thing exactly like how I built the mini green ATV project that I built years and years ago. I want the frame to kind of look the same as this, so I think the next step, because I want to add a bit more tubing right here to kind of strengthen up the back end right here, but I don't want to add it and then there's no room for the muffler, so let's add the muffler. Let's add the mounts for the expansion chamber, then we can work on a bit more tubing on the back of the frame right here. Now the muffler is pretty much going to have to go just right here. It has to be mounted sideways. I can't really mount it straight up and down because this tab hits the seat and then it also hits the axle, so it has to be mounted sideways. And then I'll just cut this off and kind of re-match it up to the expansion chamber. Alright, muffler's installed. Next thing is let's work on steering. So I'm probably just going to be mounting a bearing onto here and another bearing up here, and I'll use this 3/4 inch axle for the steering column. So I think I made this piece just a little bit too long. I think if I left it like this, the steering would be super twitchy, and this vehicle would be darting all over the place when I'm going fast. So I think I'm gonna cut this off, cut it just a little bit shorter, and then weld it back into place. And that should make it to where I have to turn the handlebars a lot for the wheels to turn a little bit. Alright, steering is done. Now, let's work on the brakes. Let's figure out how to attach the caliper onto this thing. Now, because the axle moves back and forth, I can't really mount the caliper to the frame because then it wouldn't line up in any other position besides this exact spot, and I need to be able to move this back and forth to tension the chain. So I have an idea. I machined 2 of these. These are just 1 inch by 1 inch with a 1/2 inch hole. And I'll add these to the top of the bolts that hold down the pillow bearing. So therefore these follow the pillow bearing wherever it is. And then I'll just weld the mounts for the caliper onto this. Alright, check this thing out. The frame is pretty much done on this thing. We still need to add a couple more things like the gas tank as well as the shifter, but we can do that stuff later. Right now, let's disassemble this whole thing so therefore I can weld the whole frame together, then we can reassemble it and start working on hooking up everything like the brakes, the clutch, the coolant system, and all that kind of stuff. So I put this mesh on here, and I realized, like, I hope this is not like a slippery surface or anything. So I kind of put it recessed in there, so at least there's somewhat of a lip around this thing. So hopefully my foot doesn't like slide off of this. But I think it should be fine. It should be fine. So anyway, let's start reassembling this thing. way to get it off the table. Not really sure how this is gonna work, but here goes nothing. Not even sure if it's gonna clear. So, plus I have no brakes. Whoa, don't fall backwards.
Oh, no suspension.
This thing is ridiculously tiny.
Yeah, this thing is absolutely tiny. So I just looked up the horsepower rating of this engine, and it is somewhere in like 30 horsepower. 30 horsepower in something this small. So yeah, it's gonna be fast. Plus it's 2-stroke, so it's gonna be even faster. So this thing is it is definitely gonna need a wheelie bar on this thing. So now we still need to do a couple more things to this. We need to build a little gas tank that's gonna go here. We need to do the shifter. I'm thinking of instead of just doing a normal shifter where you have to put your foot underneath it and shift up, I think this would be a little too awkward to shift, and then you have to hit it to go down. I think I may do the Harley style type of shifter where you kind of hit with your heel, you hit this to go down, and then you hit this to go up. So I think that may be a little bit easier on this. So. And then for the wheelie bar, I'm probably going to make them detachable, so therefore I can have 2 different ones. One of them to where the wheel is hitting, touching the ground to prevent me from doing wheelies, and the other one for wheelies. So, and then next, obviously, we got to wire everything up: the throttle, the brakes, the clutch, the radiator, the wiring, and try to get this thing fired up for the first time. So. All that's going to have to be for the next video of this project, but for now, I got to end this video here. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see ya in the next video.